I tried shading like Marc Brunet, and this is what happened. Hey you, welcome back to Lumino Doodles. I'm an aspiring concept artist who hosts monthly challenges to help us all grow together as artists. We just finished the 30-day anatomy challenge last week, so if you want to check out how that went, check out the top right corner of this video or the link in description. Next month is Inktober, so I'm thinking of doing a challenge centered around storytelling. That way, as you do the prompt list of whichever artist you want to do, you can be following this plan on how to storytell with your art. And by the time you're done with the month, your storytelling skills will have been given a major power up. The guide will be dropped in a short coming out October 1st, so hit the bell so you'll know when it drops. Now that's all out of the way, it's time to talk about shading, an important pit stop in any artist's journey, a skill we all must know to make our art. And it's not easy. I've been shading for 2 years now, and it's been an awesome, albeit painful, ride. At first, I started with simple anime shading, cell shading, and every now and again soft shading. I clip layers and shade each section of the drawing, each color, painstakingly. And it took time, a lot of time, although it did teach me how to shade with colors. For instance, you probably already know this, but it's a general rule of thumb to never color with pure black or pure white. And of course, when shading on top of a color, you shouldn't just make that color darker. If shading on top of a red, don't shade shadows with a darker shade of red, but shade with a slightly darker shade of orange red, or something like that. This helps your art look alive. So now with some idea of color theory, not entirely mastered yet though, and I should probably do a 30-day challenge on that sometime soon, I can now start thinking of being efficient with my time and shading. And that's how shading with Marc Brunet's method is. In this video, link in description, Marc Brunet teaches us to start by shading in black and white and then change the shading layer's blending mode to multiply. This way, the computer automatically changes your base colors, it shades them, and you save an immense amount of time. Highlights can then be added to the layers above. However, although I love this method, I won't lie, I'm having issues implementing it. 1. Marc Brunet uses Photoshop, and I use Krita, and although they are very similar, in some ways they are frustratingly difficult. For instance, the method I prefer to use when changing grayscale to color, which Marc Brunet also teaches in this video, link in description, is the gradient map method. This method allows you map certain colors to the black and white of an area. For instance, let's say you shaded the entire girl you're drawing and you want her skin to be light. After you select the places where her skin show, you can use gradient maps to have blacks, where shadows gather, to be a reddish color, and whites, where light hits, to be a light peak. Then you can have grays to be the base color, peak. By changing the gradient map, you can change how you've colored a part of your drawing in seconds. You also have control over how the computer shades, which you don't have control of when you just put the shading layer blending mode to multiply. Marc Brunet explains all this better in his videos, so I do encourage you to check them out. But anyway, I'm having difficulty trying to figure out how to apply gradient maps to specific areas in Krita. So for now, I'm stuck using just multiply, which is nice-ish, but gives the computer more creative control than I'd like. Plus, I keep feeling like I'm sort of making art that looks kind of dark and flat. I feel like I'm not able to make my art look as colorful and alive as I'd like. The second major issue, even more major than the first, is that I struggle with shading in the first place. Let's look at a few of my pieces when using this method. This is just with shading. You see, some of these are okay while others are a mess. So now once I change the shading layer to multiply, well, it doesn't look as great as it could. I mean, let's just look at how Marc Brunet's pieces look once colors are applied. Beautiful, right? I feel like mine just looks muddied, but I don't know. Critiques would be appreciated in the comments. Because the fundamental shading skill I need for this method is very flawed, I'm gonna have to fix that. So this week I'm working on doing daily value studies and color studies of my favorite artists, from Marc Brunet to Sam Dazard. I'll also be working on trying to understand Krita's gradient maps. So that's 2 videos to subscribe and stay tuned for. A tutorial on how to use Krita's gradient maps, and how doing 1 week of back-to-back value studies can hopefully take me from this to this. Hopefully. Glad you could bless me with your view this week, and hope you can continue to stay tuned as I go along with my art journey.